Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Okay, so welcome back. This is the fourth module, so fourth video for week 5. We will continue our discussion on health impact, environmental impact associated with plastic pollution. So far we looked into the marine debris, how the plastic goes in there, and also the impact on marine life, and we looked at some of the issues with the land population as well. In the last video, if you remember, we were discussing about the impact on animals like cows and bull. You saw one last video on a bull where several kgs of plastic were recovered from his body. So those are the issues. So once we have this plastic being into the body, either directly or indirectly, what is the health impact and what is the overall environmental impact? So we will continue that discussion in this video and in the next video, which will be the last 2 videos for this particular week. So getting forward, how it is going to affect on humans. See, we are always I think I say that many times, that we are one of the selfish species on this planet. Every time when we think about any environmental impact, first of all we think about what will happen to us, and that is why even the terminology used is human health and environment. That is what you will see in most of the textbooks in terms of any chemicals. So let us look at what will be the potential effect on humans, because since we are on the top of food chain, many of these things will come to us directly, mostly indirectly, through fish, through milk, and through other species as well. And so effect on humans, there are a lot of additives used in manufacturing of plastics, and plasticizer, for example, which provided flexibility to PVC. The 3 most commonly cited plastic additives are bisphenol A, which is BPA. Many times you see that plastic containers labeled as BPA free. So they do not have BPA. BPA, we will talk about that. I will also show you a small video on like a health impact related to BPA that has been reported. Then phthalates, here P is silent, phthalates and flame retardants. So these are the 3 major category. Bisphenol A is used, phthalates are used, and flame retardants are used, and all of these 3 categories has been documented to have adverse human health impact, which is already there in the literature. So what are their impact? So these are the additives, and what are the ill effects? So bisphenol A acts as endocrine disruptors in humans. So it impacts our endocrine system. So it acts as endocrine disruptors. Can cause thyroid cancer, osteoporosis, hypo and hypertension. So it causes both hypo as well as the hypertension. So that is what the bisphenol A, we are really worried about BPA, and that is why many plastics these days are trying to be away from BPA, so they do not use BPA anymore. Bisphenol A, the BPA is a short form for bisphenol A. Phthalates or plasticizers, they impact the reproductive system, malformation, development disorders, causes pulmonary system effects including asthma, allergies. So that is what phthalates are known for. Flame retardants, it impacts on immune system. It can be fatal and on child development. It can cause cancer or neurologic dysfunction as well. So these 3 are the broad categories of additives used in plastics, and these are their ill effects. So we are always worried about things leaching from plastic and getting into our food, especially if you are using as a food container, or when the plastic goes into the surface water or the ocean, things leaching from plastic, so BPA leaching from plastic getting into the water, or say if you are using even these days we use a lot of water bottles which for drinking water throughout the day, and if we have water there for 5-6 hours touching the plastic surface, if BPA is leaching or these chemicals are leaching from the plastic to my water, and then it's a problem. It can lead to over several years of consumption of water with little bit of these chemicals can create an adverse health impact. And it's even for small babies, we are using plastic bottles these days. So that's what for feeding bottles, and there you see a more like you will many of those bottles claim to be BPA free. Whether they are BPA free or not, we don't. Of course, it needs to be tested out to find out whether they are BPA free. So those are the issues that we have to deal with. So where the BPA is used, if you look at the bisphenol A used in your its container. So these are the ones which have BPA presence in different types of containers. You have canisters, measuring cups, beverage bottles, mixing pitchers, cake keepers, steamers, and polycarbonate sip beverage bottles where with the straw or another bottle. So these can potentially contain BPA unless it is BPA free, and we already talked about its effect. Can lead to liver disease, autism, irritation of mucous membrane, dermatitis, which is a skin disorder, irritation of mucous membrane, upper respiratory tract, obesity, diabetes, and oncological disease, which can lead to cancer and other stuff. So that's the typical structure for bisphenol, like 2 benzene rings with OH groups at the end, and then CH3 and two CH3 groups in the middle. So that's how its structure is. This is how it looks like. So this is what the bisphenol A, where they are found, and what's its potential impacts are in terms of ill effect. Phthalates, it's used in different kind of materials, toys, cosmetics, bottles, different containers. They use phthalates, and the risk is we talked about it earlier, the reproductive system and other issues associated with that. As the level of phthalates goes up, the risk of miscarriage is more. So you don't want too much exposure of phthalates. Flame retardants is essentially used to retard the flame, as the name suggests. So any equipment or anything which gets heated up, which can we are worried about things catching fire, we have flame retardants there. So we'll have electronics, carpet padding, foam baby items, chairs, kitchen appliances. So anything where we want that if there is any fire, it gets it should get retarded. It should not propagate. We use flame retardants. So flame retardants, the way it has a ill effect is it crosses the placenta, and so even from it can go from mother to the baby. Babies are born with flame retardants in their bodies. So and flame retardants also accumulate in breast milk, exposing nursing infants. Small babies can get it through the breastfeed as well. They may get it through the placenta, but also through the breastfeed. More time on the floor when they are going around on the floors in the carpet padding. We use a lot of many especially in the developed countries, the concept of using carpets are there. Many people are moving from carpets to kind of wooden floor now, but still carpets are used. If you go to Delhi airport, the entire airport has been carpeted, especially T3. So it's more time on the floor. If you have more time on the carpeted floor, and then you have this hand to mouth activity where the kid is touching things on the carpet, then putting his hand in the mouth, means young children have higher ingestion of flame retardants contaminated house dust, because this from the carpet padding and other sources you will have flame retardants in the dust, and when the kid has the tendency of touching things and then putting it into the mouth, it becomes an issue in terms of impact on their body. So they get exposed to these flame retardants. Now, if you look at some of these PC contaminants concentration in different parts of the world. So this is as per the US EPA report of 2016, concentration of bisphenol A, polychlorinated biphenyl, which is if you look at their concentration, and we do see a pretty high concentration ranging from close to 3000, I think these are in micrograms per liter. It goes all the way, in some places it is pretty low, but we see a wide variety of ranges of concentrations showing up in terms of polychlorinated biphenyls at different parts of the world. So, the reason for putting this graph up there is just to show you that it is not only a localized problem, it is a global problem, and some places it is more, some places it is less, based on how much plastics are being used, or how much there are other sources of polychlorinated biphenyls as well. So, as you can see, it is pretty much everywhere around the world where you see these things showing up. And similarly, if you compare that with DDT and its metabolite, you see that DDT also kind of shows up throughout the world. So, polychlorinated biphenyl has kind of similar exposure as compared to DDT, which we have been talking about for quite some time, for almost 4 decades now. And so, this polychlorinated biphenyl could be the next DDT, where we need to really worried about in terms of its control as well as remediation over time globally throughout the world. Then polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbon, that is another one which does show up. Here you see that in some places you see the concentration to be much higher. So, all these are from the US EPA report, which is there in your reading material. So, here as you can see that there are PAH. Some places the data is not presented, that does not mean it does not have it. It is actually the data was not available. So, data is not available for those particular areas. So, similarly for India, we do not have the data in terms of what is the total PAH is there into the environment going from different industrial and other activities happening in the country. So, if you look at in terms of where they use, what is the effect, and where in what type of plastic it is used. So, bisphenol A, it is plasticizer, it is used as a liner for certain cans and other stuff. It mimics estrogen, so endocrine disruption compound, and used in PVC and PC, that is where you see them used. Phthalates are plasticizer, also artificial fragrance. It interferes with testosterone, sperm mobility. So, that is why the reproduction issues, it is used in polystyrene and PVC. Persistent organic pollutants, which is also known as POPs, POPs is used in pesticides, flame retardants, etc., and has a possible neurological and reproductive damage, and it is used in all plastics. So, POPs are there in all plastic. Dioxins, which is produced in manufacture of PVC during waste incineration, carcinogen, interferes with testosterone, it is used in all plastics. Then nonyl phenol, which antistatic, anti-fog surfactants used in detergents. It mimics estrogen, also used in PVC pipes. PVC, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbon, whenever you burn fossil fuel, it is formed. It is development and neurological reproductive toxicity. It has been found again in all plastic. PCBs, which is polychlorinated biphenyls, which is electronics manufacturers, interferes with thyroid hormone. Again, it is in all plastic. Styrene monomer, which is a breakdown product, carcinogen, forms DNA, affects DNA, used in polyestyrene. So, these are different type of toxic compounds, and where in different types of plastics it is used, and its impact in terms of on health. So, if you look at impact of plastic waste on human body, it can create headache based on different chemicals that we just looked into, which is there in different types of plastic. It can create headaches, dizziness, unconsciousness. Thyroid, it can impact thyroid, swelling. So, thyroid, lungs problem, diarrhea, vomiting, birth effect, infertility, hormone changes, skin disease, liver dysfunction, breathing difficulties, irritation in eyes, and vision failure. So, as you can see, it has a variety of impact for different body system, but thing is that it's again it will happen when we have mismanagement of plastic waste. It's not that if I'm using a plastic bottle, say if I have this plastic bottle sitting in front of me from day to morning to evening, I'm not getting exposed to any of these chemicals as of now. But once, say if the water inside this bottle, if this bisphenol A or phthalates or different compounds which is present in this plastic bottle, if it's present, because some of these bottles are supposed to be like BPA free and all that, but if it's present and if it leaches into this water, and when I consume this water, I'm getting exposed to it. And if I'm consumed to this water, this kind of water every day for a longer period of say few years, few decades down the line, then only you get these kind of sickness. It's not that you consume water today and tomorrow you will have this sickness. So it's and this is one source. There are other sources of these similar contaminants showing up into the environment which you can be exposed to as well. So the major problem comes is, of course, we have to make sure that things does not leach here. So that's the design problem, if it can be designed properly so things doesn't leach. But at the same time, once this bottle is used up, once the bottle gets a leak or something happens to this bottle, I throw it, it becomes a plastic waste. At that time, we need to make sure that this plastic waste is handled properly so that these chemicals which could be present as a plasticizers and other things in here does not get into the environment. So does not get into if it gets into the surface water, things may leach. If it gets into the ocean, things may leach out. So we need to prevent that leaching by having a proper plastic waste management framework for every city, town, and state, of course, in the country. So if we can do that, and that becomes part of, again, municipal solid waste. So this municipal solid waste management rules and plastic waste management rules has to be looked into in tandem, where we can try to manage this plastic waste properly. If we can do the management properly, if we can recycle things properly, then we can minimize the risk from these different chemicals present in these different types of plastics which is out there, which is used for different applications in our day-to-day life. So that's looking at different plastic waste into the ocean. So we will look at this particular video, which is this one was done by I think USGS, if I'm correct, and it also involves some of the researchers from different universities in US, where they majorly focus on bisphenol A in terms of its adverse impact and how much bisphenol A is making into the water body, which is one of the major source is coming from the plastic pollution. So let's look at this video and then we'll discuss the issues around it, and it's mostly focused on from an angle of human health, and which you will see.
It's like something out of science fiction. Unsettling transformations are sweeping across the planet. And clue by clue, investigators are assembling a new picture of Earth. They suspect we've entered a time of faster global change than any human being has ever witnessed. But we can rise to the challenge. Alter the course. It's up to all of us to confront these strange days on planet Earth. Each of us now produce more than 1,500 pounds of trash a year, and the fraction that's plastic is going nowhere but up. If enough of us change what we do in simple ways, we can reduce the threat plastic poses to the ocean. Still, when it comes to plastic, out of sight shouldn't mean out of mind. Fred Vom Saal of the University of Missouri and Don Tillett of the U.S. Geological Survey live and work in the nation's heartland. Alarmed by rising numbers of wild animals found with bizarre developmental and reproductive problems, they've joined a national effort to find the cause. Prime suspects include pesticides, the residue of birth control pills and other drugs in treated wastewater, and a compound found in many familiar plastics, bisphenol A.
The problem with chemicals such as bisphenol A is it breaks out of the plastic and leaches into water.
Studies show that from water, this chemical can get into animals. And there it can act like a dose of the female sex hormone estrogen. Too much estrogen can disrupt the endocrine system, and that's been linked to a wide range of health impacts, including gender bending. One critical unanswered question is at what level of exposure these effects occur. With bisphenol A, we're talking about extremely small quantities of this chemical getting into the environment. Samples drawn from this stream had only 30 parts per trillion. Vamsal is worried because studies show tiny amounts of bisphenol A can derail early cell development in mice. And if mice are vulnerable, might people be as well? Recently, Vamsal tested clear plastic baby bottles to see if they release bisphenol A. He devised the simplest of experiments. Let distilled water sit in brand new bottles for 24 hours and then test it. Every one released bisphenol A. Curious, he then decided to see what happens when the same baby bottles are run through an ordinary dishwasher, which heats them to 140 degrees.
Some of these bottles, by the time we had washed them 10 times, were leaching 10 times more bisphenol A than they had before they had been washed.
The plastics industry vigorously disputes any danger to children from the chemical. They cite the continued blessing of the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. But the Japanese are cutting back in their use of bisphenol A, and recent independent studies have motivated the FDA to take a fresh look.
So as you saw, this was done by National Geographic and with this particular website, thinkbeyondplastic.org. So as you listen to those researchers, they collected the water sample from some certain streams, and they were looking at the BPA concentration in that water. And later on in the video, they were looking at the plastic bottles which were used to feed babies. And so they found all of them actually having a leaching of BPA. And when they washed it using that washing machine at a higher, like warmer temperature, warm water, they found that as they were more and more washing, was actually leading to more and more leachability. So after 10 wash, if I remember correctly, it says that 10 times more leaching happened. So this BPA leaching from these plastic bottles is of concern because it is showing a negative impact on mice. So it is extrapolated that it will have a negative impact on human bodies as well. So that was just one example, and similar studies have been done with different chemicals, which kind of you must have encountered in different courses that you have taken, especially if you have taken any course related towards toxicology and other stuff. So these do is a problem in terms of human health problem. And also it's a problem for other aquatic species that things do leach, which we are talking about. So there is an issue of plastic design of plastic products, where to make sure that things does not really leach, the harmful chemicals should not leach from plastic to the body, to the food, or to the drinks, so that it becomes a problem, especially from the food point of view. And there have been some report also that when you use a plastic container for microwave, there also you see the leaching got enhanced because again for the warmer temperature. So we need to kind of do some work in that area to make sure that those plastic containers are safe, and if we use them, if we can phase out them gradually, that may be a welcome step. But at the same time, we need to make sure that whatever is the replacement we are going to use is better from a human health point of view, better from an environmental point of view. So kind of having some sort of LCA study, life cycle analysis study of the alternatives will help to assess which one is better, which one is a better option. So when we talk about contaminants getting from plastic into different media, and then from the different media, the plastic these contaminants will go into the organisms as well. So here, when we talk about things going into the different organisms, most marine organisms obtain contaminants from plastic by ingesting plastic debris. which is mostly microplastic. So, this microplastics they ingest that microplastics. They think that they are plankton species, and that is what creates the confusion. Adsorbed contaminant can leach into digestive fluids, things can and can be transferred to another tissues. So, as planting species from the foundation for the every food web, any threat to them can have serious effect. So, if they are it's getting impacted, the planting species are getting impacted. So, that will have a kind of food chain impact, where things will go into the higher level of the food chain. Toxicants may bioaccumulate. Bioaccumulate means it will kind of build up in the tissues, usually for the lipophilic chemicals. Lipophilic means something which has affinity for lipids, for fats in the body. So, it is lipophilic, and then it adsorbs to that particular site in our body. If it is lipophobic, that means phobia of lipids, so it will not adsorb. So, since many of these contaminants are lipophilic, they try to bioaccumulate, produce high tissue toxicants concentration, and the concentration also increase within the food chain by biomagnification, because things go from a smaller species to higher species, and then the concentration gets increased. So, there is a biomagnification there. So, contaminants within the food web is prevalent everywhere, and even after non-marine species such as polar bear and humans. So, this contaminant does keep on going up in different species, and then humans being kind of being on the top of the species chain end up getting exposed to it as well. So, it is just same thing which we just talked about. If you put it in a pictorial way, which was done in this particular report, which is referenced at the bottom over here, where you can again these many of these reports will be there, but this is kind of one of the report which must be, you will get a copy of that as part of reading material for this week or the week for this, I think probably this for this week only. So, as you can see, the plastic pieces or plastic and other pieces, smaller, those plastic microplastics are being consumed by this small organisms, which is being eaten up by the fish, and from the smaller fish getting eaten by the bigger fish, and the bigger fish goes to kind of becomes the food for us, and we see those plastic getting there. So, as you can see, there were a small microplastic which got accumulated over here, and then the concentration increased over here because it eats many of those fish, and then from here the concentration kind of increases in a human's body as well, because things are bioaccumulating. And so, that is one for the fish route, and then birds and turtles feeds at the surface of the patch, and they also consumes many of these microplastics, which again with microplastics they are also getting different contaminants, different chemicals which are present on those microplastic into their body as well. So, in terms of in California and Indonesia, they found that some study was done where they found 1/4 of the fish sample from fish markets in California and Indonesia contain plastic pieces and fibers in their guts. So, the plastic pieces and fibers are already showing up in this fish, which is around 25% of the fish had that. So, then of course, that will lead to human exposure. There was also some study done. The study finds that 93% of bottled water has microplastics. So, 93% of the bottled water had microplastics, which you see that it is showing up in 93% of the microplastic in the water bottle. And Nestle Pure Life, which is there in many countries, has been tested. In India, Bisleri was tested as well. Bisleri was tested and found to be have microplastic, and then Germany and other countries like PepsiCo, Aquafina, Aqua, Minelba, Wahana, Dasani, which is again Coca-Cola brand, Evian, San Pellegrino, which is again Nestle kind of manufacturer. As you can see, many of these bottle was found to have plastic, with 325 average number of plastic particles for every liter of water sold. So, there were 259 bottles from 11 brands across 9 countries. So, plastic discovered included polypropylene, nylon and polystyrene tetraphthalate. So, this was the study done, and so we are seeing microplastics coming into these water bottles, because the water bottles are the water treatment plants are not designed to treat for these microplastics. So, they do end up in this water. So, although we may consume many times you consume these plastic bottle water thinking that they will be safe, they are better, but many times they are actually not. They are, in a country like us is still in general, if you say that plastic bottle may be slightly better than the tap water, in some places may be the same or even the worse. But if you look at the developed countries, most of the water supply system there is much better than the plastic water bottle, what you get the water from a plastic water bottle. So, if you are in Europe or even most part of US, you do not really need plastic, you do not really need water bottle. The regular supply that you get is actually highly regulated, most of the times better quality than what you get in the plastic bottles. In developing countries like India, still since we don't, our water treatment system is still not that good in all entire country. So, there are issues. So, many places people do prefer to go for these plastic bottles, but plastic bottles are not also plastic water bottles, but they are also not that great. They also have issues. And so, in houses we use AquaGuard and those different water filter, AquaGuard or Kent or different brands are out there. So, but that's again that gives a better water hopefully. But at the same time there is and most of these filtered system has lots of wastage. Minimum that we have is like 1:1, where if you have 2 liters of water, 1 liter is what you get, 1 liter is the waste. So, let us stop here with this discussion, and then we will continue the discussion of plastic impact on human health in our last video for this particular week. Again, any questions, put it on discussion forum. We will be more than happy to respond to your queries. Any suggestions, any newer information, please share it on the discussion forum, and it will be helpful for all the students. So, thank you. Enjoy it. I hope you are enjoying this course. Keep doing that, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks. Okay. So, thank you. So, this is brings it to the last video. This is the 4th video. This is bring to the end of the 4th video of week 5. So, we will continue the same discussion in the next video, where we finish the impact on human health and environment from plastic pollution. Thank you.